he wanted me to be a housewife when we first met, and I decided to kind of change and wanted a career, and he didn't want that for me, so he gave me an ultimatum, and it's to stay at home and be a housewife or leave and have a career. So I left.
Girl, we want to smack you in the face right now. So let me ask you this. Was he paying all the bills?
He was.
So, and did you, when you guys got married, that was the plan?
Yes.
So basically, you had him, your husband. He was your husband?
Mm-hmm.
So he was your husband?
Yes.
You guys had a family?
Yes.
You agreed to be a stay-at-home
yes.
mom. What made you want to get a job?
When I had to constantly ask for a couple of dollars to do stuff, when it was no, I can't do certain things that I wanted, when it was no, we don't have enough money to do activities because, one income. And I'm like, well, this is not the lifestyle that I want to live. Like, I just don't want to sit at home and fold clothes and not actually date and have the extra money to do stuff. Like, I just didn't want to fold clothes all day long. I'm sorry.
All right, well, what kind of man are you looking for now, honey?
Don't hate me for this, but I want somebody that's a little bit lit and turned up. My husband was boring. I know, don't.
I'm sure that's gonna work out just fine. And they wonder why decent, hardworking guys are walking away from the institution entirely. Men, the Western woman has turned marriage into a time bomb. Whether it be 15, 20, or 30 years down the line, men are waking up to the fact that promises don't mean anything in modern times. With propaganda circulating all over a wife's feed, their impressionable minds soak up the lies like a new sponge. Before you know it, anniversaries just become a markup in the eventual payments you'll be giving them while they make a run for the carousel. Those who think the vows are a covenant quickly realize that the only promise their woman has made is the one they kept inside their head. I'll stick around until I'm convinced there's something better around the corner. At this point, we know the name of said opportunity is Chad or Tyrone. These women, who have since burst through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man on a hot day, will regret this exodus. But the horror stories will not prevent them from tossing loyalty out the window like yesterday's newspaper. The data is in, and it looks like this is no longer refutable. Before we go further with the video, let me share the comment of the day. Shout out to Mr. Incognito, who shared, "If anyone is stupid enough to pay that first chick's bills with that attitude, you get no sympathy. She's a walking, talking red flag. There's no way you don't know she's cheating. Avoid these types at all costs, fellas." This is what he's trying to say. So anyway, don't forget to reach out to my email to claim your $5. As always, guys, I'll be picking one comment from each video. Could be the most liked or the funniest one, so don't forget to leave a comment and you could be tomorrow's winner. So be sure to hit that like and sub button too, as the support helps out a ton, y'all. So now let's get right back into the video.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow.
Take a look at this article published by the American Psychological Association titled, "More couples are divorcing after age 50 than ever before. Psychologists are helping them navigate the big changes." In it, Charlotte Huff writes, "Divorce poses a daunting schism at any age, as one of life's most profound stressors. But for adults who split from their partners later in life, the emotional and practical complexities can further stack up, mirroring their life experience. While divorce has declined among adults in their 20s and 30s, the rate among adults age 50 and older has surged upward, doubling between 1990 and 2010, before leveling off more recently. Divorce is still common among younger people, with roughly 2/3 occurring among the under 50 crowd, but the changes is nevertheless significant. In 1990, 8.7% of all divorces in the United States occurred among adults 50 and older. By 2019, that percentage has grown to 36%. This comes as no surprise to anyone choosing to watch channels like ours. What the article misses in the intro here is the reason divorce is statistically on the decline for younger people. The short answer: fewer men are getting married. We've learned from our past mistakes. primarily the belief that many Western women can still be relied on when the going gets tough. In truth, due to the generational degradation of females on this side of the world, there's virtually no chance a man will have a successful Western marriage for very long at all. The reality is far too damning to ignore at this point.
Is marriage outdated in 2022?
I think the law has made it really, really unappealing for men. I think there's no need for a man. I know I keep going on about my religious belief, but if you've got religion, I can understand why you get married. But even then, I don't think you should do it legally. But if you haven't got any religious reasons or anything like that, I don't understand why anybody, man or woman, would get married, because it's designed to make you turn against each other. The law just puts you against each other, and it's a horrible way to do it.
And for the most part, this assessment is correct all the way through. The only thing I'd change is that it's only a net negative for males financially. The feminist media continues to try and push the narrative that women have an equally rough time within marriages. They attempt to make the argument that women are sad in marriages, while men are much happier. Today, this could not be further from the truth, at least in the way they try to frame it. Of course, men would naturally appreciate a reliable marriage. Deep down, as I've said before, men like to build things. We take great pride in carving out a piece of this world for ourselves and taking a step back to watch it grow as we do everything in our power to strengthen it with discipline and hard work. The old conventional expectation was that women would be there to hold down the fort while we were away. We know now that this is so far from the present reality that a reliable modern woman almost sounds like a made-up fable from a children's book. By default, as all available studies show, female psychology is made up of 70% of negative emotions. If you add social media to the mix, it's fair to say this is probably more like 80%. And this is where the institutions start to take artistic license. They interview women anecdotally outside of controlled studies, asking them if they are happier after the marriage is over. But this is an insanely flawed form of general analysis. Think about every story where a man walks into his house, sees that his wife is pissed off, and then proceeds to ask her what is wrong. Do most of them share what's going on? Hell no. They give cryptic-ass messages and say they're fine to play with your head. So why in God's name would they tell a stranger any different? Alright, so the article continues with, divorce also can be financially depleting. Women 50 and older experience a 45% decline in their standard of living. For men, it's 21%. Other research, based on interviews with 66 adults who divorced at 50 or older, found that worries about finances and loneliness were the two most pressing concerns expressed. But the adults described positive aspects as well, including an improvement in overall happiness, liberation from their ex-spouses, and a sense of enhanced independence and freedom. To some extent, the trends in later life divorce reflect more modern trends, Sitchi said. Women are more likely now to have careers and related economic autonomy. Over time, society has placed greater expectations on marital quality, leaving partners more reluctant to settle for what some have described as empty shell marriages, particularly after the children leave home, she said. Increased life expectancy may be a possibility, with potentially decades of relatively good health ahead. Speculation. Oh look, more unfounded speculation. So let me clear things up for you, Charlotte. Divorce can be financially depleting for men. Mighty convenient for you to leave out that rather important detail. Also, that decline in the standard of living, well, we have a name for that. It's called hitting the wall. 20 years past the deadline, most women have a hard time functioning mentally. It has nothing to do with what the women you're interviewing call empty shell marriages. We have no doubt it sounded a lot like this.
I got divorced because I realized it was better to be lonely alone than lonely with someone. And the truth is, I spent way too much time trying to figure out if it was right for me, and then whether or not I should have made the decision a little bit earlier because I was so afraid. I definitely turned a lot of red flags into what I call pink flags, meaning things that were troublesome, I just kind of brushed aside. And the worst part is I thought I could change somebody. You can't do that. It's not possible. If you're with somebody you think you can change, you can't. And when I finally did go through my divorce, it was very public and I felt a lot of shame. And when I look back on it now, I realize I should not have felt any shame at all. Today I realize, looking back, I put myself first. And what my father said was right in the end. It's better to be lonely alone than lonely with someone.
When you talk about liberation, sure, that initial denial tends to be bliss for every chick who pulls up her camera to make a video on TikTok or Instagram. But you fail to note that these same women, putting on the clown makeup to hide the growing shame beneath the facade, use their respective platforms to cry after Chad leaves, complaining about how the husband moved on and now he's prospering in a climate devoid of irrational cynicism. You talk a big game about how society has cultivated greater expectations, but you, again, neglect to acknowledge what those expectations are. Like the first clip in this video, Western women have been convinced that a full life with kids is some kind of dystopian hell. Articles like these share the stats and then try to bend the facts to paint an image filled with women living their lives to the fullest. In truth, all this exposes is that the negative emotions these chicks harbor daily have been encouraged and inflated to the point where they think they are always right. The problem? They're not. In almost no case are they accurately portraying their struggle. For centuries, it's men who have had to act as an anchor to hold down the nonsense and prevent this kind of thing from getting out of hand. I remember sitting down in front of a TV at a young age, watching older women on talk shows and reality TV talk about their successes. Without fail, these aging chicks mention how they got a part in a drama or a small commercial, only to subtly plant the fact that their husband was a producer for the industry that gave them a leg up. To put it into perspective, that would be like if I took a Step Brothers approach. Imagine I'm a 45-year-old man who still lives with his dad, a renowned physicist. For most of my adult life, I've had one hand in a bucket of cheese balls and the other, well, you get the picture. Then every time my dad threw a dinner party, I walked around with a tux that I bought in high school with my gut hanging out, introducing myself as my father's advisor. I tell every guest after a swig of brew and a deep, loud belch, yeah, I thought about going to school for that, but I realized I'm a bit of an autodidact. My pops needs me here to manage the facilities. I remember one time my dad and I were managing a particle accelerator. The work is tough, but it's just a day in the life of a genius. Any logical person would chuckle and clear the area to avoid the probable smell emanating from my tired, unworked body. This is pretty much exactly what our institutions allow women to do, except they lean in and applaud, pretending like there was no support system that made them who they are. The article tries to argue against this exact point, stating, some of the reasons for the increase in over 50 divorces include societal trends. More men and women expect marriage to be a partnership of equals. Women are more likely to have careers and related economic autonomy, and lowered stigma about divorce reduces social pressure to settle for empty shell marriages. But while these life changes can be influential, demographic research has identified broad similarities for why marriages break down regardless of age, Sitchy said. For instance, people who have been divorced once are more likely to divorce again, she said. One analysis scrutinized whether 3 common turning points after 50, an empty nest, retirement, or poor health, boosted a couple's likelihood of divorcing. Those factors remain irrelevant, but they're not as critical or central as we had initially anticipated, said Susan L. Brown, PhD, one of the authors, who has conducted extensive demographic research involving gray divorce. Ah, yes, gray divorce. How could we possibly forget about the nuances of infidelity and broken vows? Babe, you're overreacting. I wasn't polishing off some guy at the nearby Wendy's. I was exercising my role as an empowered woman in a progressive society. No, that wasn't an affair. That man was an intimacy expert, coaching me on the best ways to be a strong, older female presence in our lasting union. This is what Charlotte and these analysts continue to misunderstand about the current situation. Marriage has not, and if it is to be successful, will not ever be equal. It never was. Women traditionally only had to do the bare minimum. Keeping kids clothed and fed has never matched the difficulty of working at an oil rig, fighting fires, or working an office gig with constant deadlines. Somewhere along the road, women started convincing themselves that waking up at 7 a.m. to take the little ones to school was a battle warranting a Nobel Peace Prize. Then, when they pushed to work a 9-to-5, crippling the economy and fighting their deterioration, they suddenly convinced themselves that men needed to detach from their masculine roles. Check these out.
70% of divorces that happen over 40 are initiated by women. Okay, why is that? Now, I'm not trying to keep everybody married. I'm not trying to get everybody pregnant. I'm just asking people to think of their hormones. Well, as she loses these hormones, there are so many brain changes that are happening. And because she doesn't understand herself, she thinks it's your problem. She thinks it's her teenage kid's problems. She thinks it's her aging parents' problem. She thinks it's work's problem. She doesn't go, oh, okay, wait, I've got some neurochemical changes going on in my brain that I need to make sure that my lifestyle supports. And she doesn't, since that conversation isn't open, she turns on everybody else. For years, I had so many women that came into my clinic and they said, whatever you do, please help me stay out of my doctor's office. And I was like, why? Because they don't understand me. And when they don't understand me, all they do is give me an antidepressant. And I feel so lost in what I'm supposed to do to help my own brain health, help my own body health. And we start dishing out supplements and prescriptions when there's a lifestyle that women are working against.
Your husband is a good guy, but you're ready for divorce? You're not a bad person. So don't let guilt get the best of you.
Hey guys, this is what a 50-year-old woman looks like without filters. So if you're looking for a beautiful woman to be by your side and treat you right, look me up.
Well, here's the next episode of Dating Over 60. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of taking my tray down the cafeteria line and you're looking over there to see what's available. None of it looks very good, but you know you're supposed to pick something.
So I've been dating someone now for several months. In fact, it's been almost a year. He is avoidant, and so our conversations are limited. He goes on trips on his own or takes his son with him. I go on trips on my own with my girlfriends. I find myself being alone a lot. You know, I'm ready to build something with somebody. I'm someone's wife. I still have so much to give.
So, you know, I like to think I'm a good catch. Have my own teeth, got my own job, got a car, got a truck, got a house, take showers, obviously my hair's wet. But yeah, it's hard out there, guys. It's hard.
Y'all, this. Some of y'all fumbling people and fumbling loves that you will never experience again in your life. That type of support, that type of care, that type of concern. That person that loves you unconditionally.
Yep, things are going to be just fine for the modern females who chose to reject traditional roles. Again, this article, and among many others, try to make the claim that women get wiser with age, while every real analyst in the trenches brings proof, using the same exact data more effectively, that all that's really happening is that they've lost their goddamn minds. Culturally speaking, ending a marriage was considered to be extremely shameful, and men were given the power to tell their wives what was actually going on. Without all the noise in the background, women accepted this truth and later learned that they didn't have the bandwidth during their mental changes to make logical decisions about their futures. Today, women are taught via manipulated data that the voices in their heads need to be heard and taken seriously. Their insanity is deemed justified, so they go ahead and cut the line without realizing their prime is long gone. Well, there is only one way to go about this.
What would happen if every girl on Earth disappeared?
Men, do yourself a favor and avoid Western marriage at all costs. Young women will try and point to an older couple sitting on a bench and say that the dream is still alive and well over here. But every available study shows that the length of the modern female marriage no longer dictates whether or not it will end up being a success. If anything, when the inevitable court battle ensues, their appointed lawyers just have that much more in the arsenal to take half your net worth away at a moment's notice. Stay healthy, stay wealthy, stay free, y'all. This is the only antidote to the growing problem that we continue to see all around us. As always, I wish you tremendous success. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Remember that if you leave the best comment, you'll get $5. Thank you so much for watching. If you found value in this video, Hit the like and subscribe buttons, ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on future uploads, drop a comment, and share it. See you in the next video. Till next time.